Check it. Run it, run it. No, I'm playing. What's up? How y'all doing, man? How's y'all's day going? Just gonna do a brief show to talk about these playoffs. If you guys didn't catch, we obviously had our conference games that were just played. Did go ahead and get that presentation out for obviously for Legend winning last season. Big ups to him winning his first natty within the league. This is KOC. We are live in the playoffs up to this point. Obviously, your host King Nuts here, aka Mook Spook. And I'm not happy about not being in the playoffs yet again over in KOC. But hey, man, you got to give respect where it's due. Everybody in my conference, for the most part, played well. I was able to take out Florida, but when they were able to take out Georgia, and then, of course, Auburn came out of nowhere and just ruined my damn season. So shout out to Block for his high levels of disrespect. But wanted to do a quick breakdown and talk about these playoffs. But first, before we get there, let's look at the top 25. See how, for the most part, how everything ended. And as I stated, man, I was pretty much right on the cusp. But we got Texas Tech, Clemson. Basically got Isaiah and Colton up at the top. And you do have Legend sitting right there in that third spot. And then Fuzz, 12-1. Not shocked at the loss that Fuzz took against USC. I just thought that, obviously the conference that he's in, I do think it's one of the weaker conferences, just my opinion, within league play. That's why it's kind of annoying to see some of y'all in the playoffs, just because I feel like the conference that you're in is not really doing too much. But he is definitely in the playoffs up to this point. I'm just going to refresh my screen to make sure I'm on the correct one, looking at the top 25. USC sitting in that fifth spot, most likely after his win last week. Texas at six did fall down from the two spot. And then we got Smitty, and then, of course, Jay Rose and Swag. Of course, all users you see above are currently in in the playoff picture. I know everybody, or I don't really care, but there are quite a few people that love to look at the recruiting page and talk about who is doing well in recruiting, who's had the success so far in the league, yada, yada, yada. People talk about I don't recruit. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I just don't talk about recruiting because it's fuck y'all and everything that comes with you. But looking over at the recruiting portal, looking at recruiting as far as the top classes for this season, at least based on National Signing Day, obviously Georgia 12 5 stars, but Clemson did compete this season with 5. But ultimately, Georgia does have the highest rating. No shock there. Legend absolutely abuses recruiting with those Georgia Bulldogs. Then, of course, you have Tennessee. Hendricks came up big this season with his recruiting. Jay Rose right behind him. The Wisconsin, that was kind of the big story, was Mark taking over Wisconsin. He pulled a 5-star. He got quite a few 4 stars as well. Lolo having one of his better seasons recruiting than what we've seen in the past. Obviously, Block improving with his recruiting. But Alabama, that's really the one that I wanted to look at. Was ultimately I wanted to give a shout out to. Ultimately, I wanted to give a shout out to the Crimson Tide tugboat, finally doing something with that damn team with Alabama and getting some recruits there. But I know ultimately the breakdown is to get down to this playoff picture to discuss where everyone sits, where we think who's going to do what, and ultimately how we end. I'm going to take a quick break. I'll be right back. Well, looking at the playoff picture, and it is very unfortunate. Yes, I made the mistake yesterday, and I gave a sim in the wrong direction. I felt terrible about it because obviously this 100% should have been DTZ's game against Fuzz with that Miami squad. It's going to be LSU. Hopefully, LSU's in town by the time this game is ready to be played. If not, it is what it is. Fuzz is going to be able to go forward and get a second chance against JC with that USC squad. Oklahoma, the next one is going to be Oklahoma and Florida. I think my game is. I think my system has crashed now a little bit. Okay, it's just not letting me scroll down on this page. Next one is Oklahoma and Florida. That's going to be Swag and Jay Rose. We have Jawan himself with TCU. Sitting there in that 11th spot, we're going to go against King Kai with Texas. And then we have Mark against Smitty. As you can see, the bye week users are going to be JC, I think for the first time, or maybe I could be wrong looking at this playoff picture. I think for the first time we have Isaiah in that position with Texas Tech. And then, of course, we have Legend with Georgia and then Colton with Clemson. So let's look at what we think is going to happen. First of all, I hope all y'all lose. I just want to be very clear. I hope every single user somehow loses before we get to the next stages of off season. That's all I'm looking forward to right now. I'm not concerned about any of y'all's success. I don't really care who wins this season. But I think I have an idea of how this is going to go. Obviously, Fuzz is going to get a game against LSU. I think most likely because LSU is out of town. He will go up to USC and get the same. He'll get the same message he received in the last game that they played, where USC will eventually go to that semifinal round. Then we get to Oklahoma and Florida, and this could be a tight game. Swag's played well with Oklahoma. He's just found a way to get himself into the playoffs, it seems, on a consistent basis with that team. He's going to be going against Jay Rose, who just took a tough loss against Georgia in a conference championship game. That was a tough game that I watched between Legend and Jay Rose. My expectation is that Jay Rose takes that game and we'll see Texas Tech in the quarterfinal. I'm going to say he gets that game by 10 over Swag. And it's not because, funny, I haven't seen a whole lot of Swag's gameplay, but what I do know is Jay Rose is coming out of SEC. In my opinion, the SEC is tougher than the Big 12. Yes, I said it. I do think the SEC is way harder to play in this KOC league than the Big 12. TCU versus Texas. The funny thing is the first two seasons I would have said Juwan had no chance against Qual with that Texas squad, but things are changing. I was actually on a call last night, or actually just in the voice chat with J-Stack, and just realizing how far we've made it, or I guess the difference of pace between both leagues. We're getting into that place where it's completely, all those stock players on the game are gone. So, and that's what Texas is. Makes sense why he's somewhat, I'd say, 11-2, or having more competitive matches up to this point. Even though Qual's been doing well in recruiting, but I give Juwan a chance. Qual's going to win this game. Qual's going to win this game, and then he's going to go and face Legend, and then it will be a. That will probably be the most exciting game to watch for me. Two users that say they love each other, but deep down, I feel like that's not true. Between Qua and Legend, but we'll see how that plays out. And then, of course, the last but not least is Wisconsin and Arkansas. Well, Mark, you've had a great season. You've done a lot of great things with Wisconsin. You've gotten yourself into the playoffs. However, I do believe this will be where the train stops. I do believe this is where your season ends. Smitty's 10-2. I just don't see Smitty losing to that Wisconsin team. Now next season that could be different. You've obviously made some moves with Wisconsin. But I'm going to lean that Smitty is going to win over Mark Anthony with those Badgers, and then move on to play his conference rival in Clemson. So as we talk about that, obviously getting to the second round, my belief is it's going to be Navy USC, Florida Texas Tech, Texas and Georgia, and then Smitty and Colton fighting to get to that semifinal round. USC is going to beat Fuzz. I think the struggle for Fuzz's team with Navy is going to be very similar to the struggle he has with Hawaii and LOC. I just simply believe that that style of play will work against majority of users. I don't think JC is one of them, especially with a team like USC. He's just not going to bend into the style that Fuzz likes to play. He's not going to do what myself and a few others do. So USC is going to be in that semifinal round. Florida and Texas Tech, I feel like can either be a shootout or a low-scoring game. My bets between J. Rose and Isaiah is that it's going to be a shootout. My bets are that I think this is the year that Isaiah gets to a natty. I think between JC with USC and Florida, in my opinion, this season, Isaiah is probably going to be the better user out of the three to get to a national championship with Texas Tech. So yes, what I'm saying is when he plays J Rose, he's going to beat J Rose, and if he sees USC, he's going to beat USC. USC likes to lean on defense. He wants to lean on his defensive side, wants to run the ball. You know, Jay Rose is a very street ball type player. I feel like that's what he's been since I've known him. A lot of playmaking in his skill. Is going to be a there's going to be a lot of EA shit that you're just going to come across. And it's going to be more so gameplay, in my opinion, than it is just cheese. It's just him just understanding how to operate on a video game. Um, I don't think that's something that's going to make Isaiah fold. But I do think his trap game for sure is going to be against J Rose because again I don't think Swag is going to get past the first round. Um, Now if J Rose gets past Isaiah, which I don't believe is going to happen, uh, it's going to be J Rose in the Natty, and I think whoever J Rose sees in the Natty, um, outside of Georgia, he's going to take it. And then of course we have Texas going to Georgia. That'll be a game that'll be very close. I don't expect the gameplay I see out of Legend right now with Georgia taking that against a situation with Qua in Texas currently. I just don't see him taking that same style and trying to implement it against Qua. Um, Teams are too comparable. There's the build doesn't really benefit a ton. I think for him, unless he's running down the middle, most likely, because I think that's probably one of the weaknesses on that Texas team currently. This game is going to come. This game really is going to come down to who has the ball last. I think out of Texas and Georgia. Yes, I'm sorry, Juwan. My apologies. I don't think you get further than this. I think the first round is your exit. But he had a great season with that TCU squad. I'm actually going to give Legend the edge over Qua. I think he gets this game by three against Qua. Um, Legend's not a turnover machine. He's not going to do that. I think Qua's willing to take a few more risks, and that's going to be the difference. And then obviously you're going to see Legend getting into that next round. When you look at Arkansas going to Clemson, that's a game that I feel like can go either way. To be very honest with you, I think it can go either way between Smitty and Colton. Both users, at least from the few games I've seen, it comes down to the very end. It comes down to somebody trying to get the ball into the end zone late. I think the last game that I saw them play last season actually was I think Smitty got a deep pass off that was just not natural from what you would kind of expect when it comes to the gaming space. Um, Colton may come with something a little different. I think Colton just really wants a natty. Period. I I think he's just tired of having the same maybe two or three users in his way. You know, between him and Smitty, both. It's funny because Smitty was a part of both of these situations within KOC and LOC. Just to give a little history, we had a situation where both leagues got simmed the very first season in the playoffs. Again, we're just learning. We were just learning the game, trying to understand that the force win situation is it's not complicated, but if you're doing it for the first time, it's easy to mess up when it comes to the playoff picture. I'm going to give Colton the edge in this one. I'm going to give Colton the edge over Arkansas. I think he'll run into Legend, and then it'll be Georgia versus Clemson, the rematch from last season's Natty. And I think things will be a tad bit different this time, only because Colton, I think his team matches Legends when it comes to the competitions from a competition standpoint. So again, for me, it's going to come down to Texas Tech making the Natty, and then obviously the last but not least, the two users at the bottom between Georgia and Clemson. Now, this is where I think the buck stops. Ultimately, when Isaiah makes it to the Natty, I think that's where he's at a complete disadvantage between either Georgia or Clemson. He really needs Smitty to make it, or Mark, or Qua to make it from the bottom tier as far as playoffs are concerned. But I just don't see that happening. I just don't see that happening this season. But Georgia team is too strong. Clemson is right behind him. I just don't see anyone else getting past Colton or Legend getting into the national championship. I think I think if it's Isaiah, he loses. He loses to both. I think if it's Jay Rose, he loses to both. I think if it's USC, he loses to both. Both users just from a build standpoint have just figured out how to not just build but maintain. I'm gonna give Colton the dub over Legend and get his first natty. Well, guys, that's the show. Again, we just wanted to do something quick. Again, I'm not rooting for none of y'all's success. There's not a person on this screen that I'm excited about seeing in the playoffs. We've got some new users that have joined the league. Most of you don't. Some of you know KK. Most of you don't. That's actually the original league that I started in, or one of the original leagues I started playing in. Oh man, it's been I don't know how many years, 13, 14, 15 years ago. I'm not even sure. That's one of the leagues that I originally started in. One of the leagues where I'd say I gained a lot of gained understanding of competitive mode from a franchise or dynasty perspective. So KK will be joining us, taking over Penn State. And then, of course, I believe Slick as well. I'm not really sure. He hasn't responded to my message yet, bitch ass nigga. But KK was obviously, he's ran the league for quite a while. So obviously, there's a lot of respect there when it comes to him from us on the BOD side for even just being open to join and play this game with us. So do me a favor and respectfully beat the entire shit out of KK every week. That's the best welcome that you can give him. But other than that, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Best of luck to everybody in these playoffs. Sorry, DTZ. We'll see what we can do to make up for that. I know Qua said he was going to send you a $100 gift card or something. But do hope you guys have a good rest of the day. Take care of your mentals. Do what you can to get outside. It's, for most of us, it's beautiful today. Man, I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. My bad. You're right. My apologies. My apologies. Damn, I ain't never got a threat like that. So we're gonna go to the Heisman winner, and thank God it was not Fuzz just coming straight in with getting into the damn race. Obviously, Tech won it with this receiver Manu Pina, which is kind of annoying because he didn't even have 1,000 yards receiving, but he had 15 touchdowns. Like, I mean, that's cool. Congrats, whatever the game was. It really makes you want to go over to the season stats because I could have sworn I had a receiver over 1,000 yards, but I could be wrong. Yeah, like how did like it's just I hate this game. I really hate this game and how it justifies what a great season is. But anyways, congrats to Isaiah winning the Heisman this year. And then what I'll do, since somebody just threatened me, I'm not gonna say no names, wanting to see the damn awards, or you can just load the fuck up and look yourself. I'm gonna let this roll, and I'm gonna call it a day. Peace.
Applegate bacon. Our meats are Applegate humanely raised.
That's what y'all deserve. Y'all deserve a commercial.
I love my natural hair, but not what hoodies were doing to it. So I made my own. Chasing Philly helps my business grow.
I'm not even gonna hit skip. Fuck
Get
y'all.
financial guidance from bankers in your community and convenient digital tools all in one place. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours.
Damn, we didn't even make the running back conversation. He wasn't even the best receiver this game. Who voted for that shit?